Hello guys, welcome to our revision of biology, paper 2, 2023. That is a section A, question 1. The following diagram represents a section of a mammalian respiratory system. As you can see, part A, identify the region of the mammalian skeleton where the represented section is found, and that is a thoracic region. And the thoracic region basically it is the chest region, but the correct term to use is the thoracic region. Then a part labeled F, we can look at F, and the part labeled F, that is a pleural membrane, and because the label lines are two or touching two parts, we need to give in plural, that is a pleural membranes, and maybe they were accepting pleural membrane, which is also true, but to be on the safe side, because the label line is touching two structures or two membranes, you need to give it in plural. Then part B, explain the function of part labeled F, that is a pleural membrane, and the part labeled F produces or secretes pleural fluid. It also encloses pleural fluid, and the pleural fluid reduces friction of the lungs against thoracic cage or the rib cage, or basically reduces friction during walking or movement of lungs or during breathing. Part C, explain the structural adaptations of part labeled E and G to their functions. We have part E, which is a trachea. The part E is here, trachea. The part G, specifically the alveolus, because it is one. And E, we'll start with the E, which is the trachea, and it has C-shaped rings of cartilage to prevent it from collapsing, and apart from that, to keep it open for passage of respiratory gases, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide. And maybe to insist, C must be written C-shaped, because they are C-shaped in appearance, and they help prevent it from collapsing. Then it has cilia that wafts to move or remove dust or mucus or pathogens. Then has goblet cells, and the goblet cells secrete mucus that helps remove dust particles and the pathogens towards the pharynx. Then part G, which is the alveolus, it is moist for dissolving respiratory gases. Then apart from that, is highly vascularized, or in other terms, highly vascularized means dense network of blood capillaries to maintain a steep concentration gradient for transportation of gases. Then lined with thin or one cell thick epithelium membranes to reduce diffusion distance of gases. Then numerous to increase surface area for diffusion, but this point will reject because they have selected one alveolus, therefore it cannot be numerous, just one. Then give similarities between part labeled G and gill filaments. G is the alveolus and gill filaments, and the G and gill filaments both are respiratory surfaces. G is a respiratory surface in human beings, and gill filaments are respiratory surfaces in fish. And the similarities, both are moist and both are highly vascularized, or we can say have dense network of blood capillaries, as we've said earlier on, for quicker transportation of respiratory gases, and they are moist for dissolving respiratory gases. Then they are lined with a thin or one cell thick epithelial membranes to reduce a diffusion distance for faster exchange of gases. Then they are numerous to increase surface area for diffusion of respiratory gases. Then both surfaces are site for gaseous exchange, or both structures are sites for gaseous exchange. Question 2. In an investigation, data on students' heights and blood groups were collected and presented in graphs H and J as shown. You can look at the graph H showing height of students, and as you can see, the height of students compared to the number of students, as the height of students increases, the number of students is also increasing, but at this level the number of students starts to decrease. Then we have J. Which shows the blood groups. Then part A, Roman 1, state the type of variation illustrated by graph H, this one, and that is a continuous variation. Then Roman 2, give a reason for your answer in 2A Roman 1, and that is because of a wide range of variations or differences or normal distribution curve and has many intervariables or intermediate variables. Then part B, explain the advantage of having the greatest proportion of students with blood group O. You can look at this blood group O has the highest number of students, and the reason is this blood group O individuals are universal donors and will donate enough blood when need arises. Then part C, after the investigation, a student of blood group O reported that the father and mother are blood group A and B respectively. Use a genetic cross to illustrate the possibility. And in this case, these parents, the father and the mother, the father is blood group A, while the mother is blood group B, and we'll look at the genotypes, the possible genotypes, and the possible genotypes which can lead to blood group O individual is the heterozygous state, that is a BO and AO. You can cross using the lines, and that is a BO when you cross BO, and this cross must be present. Then we have gametes should be encircled and the lines should not pierce through the circles, and also the circles must be complete or full. When you cross B and A, you get a AB, then B and O, you get a BO genotype, then O and A, you get AO, O and O, you get OO genotypes. These are the offspring genotypes. And the possible blood groups, we have AB, then this one is B, then AO to represent blood group A, then O to represent blood group O. And that means there's a possibility that that child is of that father and mother. Then when crossing, when sex is interchanged, you deny a mark for genotype, and parental genotypes, wrong, award only for fusion. If are wrong, you award only for fusion or fertilization. Maybe you can look at the Punnett square or the Punnett square. That is a BO and AO. That's the first mark plus the cross. Then we have symbols, and this one represents a female. Female has a B and O genotypes. Then we have male, which has a and O genotypes. And we said the sex should not be interchanged. In this case, when you interchange here, the marks will be denied for genotypes. Then the cross BA, we get AB, and BO, BO, O, A, you get AO, then OO, you get OO. So we had an this is supposed to be O, OO. Then genotypes A, B, BO, AO, OO, and the OO means the blood group is O. Part 3, or question 3, in an experiment, students soaked maize in water for 48 hours at room temperature and tested them for reducing sugars. Name the reagent the students used to test for reducing sugars, and the reagent is a Benedict solution, and Benedict solution should start with a capital B and apostrophe between T and S. Then maybe to accept Benedict solution, small letter B, then Benedict solution without an apostrophe between T and S. Then in case of Benedict reagent, Benedict alone, it is wrong, but to be at the safe side, supposed to be written starting with a capital letter, then apostrophe between T and S. Then explain reasons for soaking the seeds, and this is to soften the seed coat and to allow entry of water, and this enables hydrolytic enzymes action on starch, or basically it activates enzymes or breaks or hydrolyzes stored food. Then state the observation made by the students during the food test. Color change to orange or to brown or to red or to brick red or to green or to yellow, or from blue to green to yellow to orange. The correct change in colors should be observed. Then explain the effect of soaking the seeds in hot water on food test results. Hot water or high temperatures above the optimum denatures enzymes, giving negative results, which are no color change, or the color of Benedict's solution remains blue. Then part E, a sample of maize seeds were planted in soils with favorable conditions but failed to germinate. Suggest possible cause of this failure, and that means that is a seed dormancy. The seeds had that dormancy. Number 1, inviable or dead embryo or non-viable seeds. Then immature embryo, that is another reason. Then low hormonal concentration or lack of germination promoters, or lack of gibberellins or cytokinins, which are hormones. Then process of germination inhibitors, that is mainly abscisic acid. Then low concentration of hormones. Then process of enzyme inhibitors or metabolic inhibitors. Then question 4, in an investigation, students placed dry cobalt-2 chloride paper on both sides of a mesophyte leaf and covered the strips with sellotape as shown in the following experimental setup. You can see the cobalt-2 chloride, the slides support. State the aim of experiment, and the aim is to investigate the rate of transpiration, and maybe specifically stomatal transpiration. Then observation the students made on cobalt-2 chloride paper, it turned to pink, or it turned from blue to pink. Account for the difference in time taken for observation to be made on the 2 cobalt-2 chloride papers, and the lower surface changes color faster or earlier, and that is due to higher stroke a greater number of stomata, hence a higher transpiration rate, and that is compared to the upper surface. And also the converse is true. The upper surface changes color slower or later due to a lower number of stomata, hence lower transpiration rates. Part C suggests two modifications students will make on the setup to have the observations made within a shorter time. And that is increasing water in the pot, increasing air currents, or the fan the plant, or expose it to windy conditions, or expose it to brighter light, or increase temperature up to optimum. And basically, these are testing on the students on the factors that can increase the rate of transpiration. Next question, question 5. The following diagram represents the structure of the human eye. Name the part labeled M, and the part labeled M is the pupil. As you can see, this hole here is the pupil. Then explain the adaptations of part labeled L to its function. Let's look at part labeled L. And the part labeled L is this one, that is the cornea or the cornea. And the first adaptation, it is a transparent to allow passage of light or entry of light. Then it is curved outwards, or it is a convex for refraction or bending of light towards the retina. As you can look, it is a curved for refraction of light towards the retina. Then describe events initiated in part labeled K to enable a distant object to be clearly seen. That is K, and K is a ciliary muscle. And this question, in short, is talking about accommodation of a distant object. And the first bit, ciliary muscles relax, and when ciliary muscles relax, suspensory ligaments tighten or become taut, and this makes the lens thinner, or curvature of the lens to reduce, and light from the object is less refracted, and thus the image is formed on the retina. And maybe a point to emphasize, a distant object, the rays from a distant object tend to diverge, not really, to diverge. You can say from a close object, the rays tend to diverge more, and from a distant object they tend to diverge more, so that they need to be converged, and that is what happens. Then state the roles of tears in the human eye. It moistens the eye or cornea or prevents it from being dry, then washes off dust particles from the eye, and it is also antimicrobial or contain lysozyme, or it is antiseptic, which means it is able to kill the microbes or pathogens. The next question, question 6. During an ecological study, students obtain the following data from a certain ecosystem: producers 1000, primary consumers 200, secondary consumers 30, tertiary consumers 4. Use the data in the table to draw a pyramid of numbers on the grid provided. And basically, a pyramid of number is a pictorial or a diagrammatic representation of the numbers at each trophic level, that is in picture form or in a diagram form, showing the numbers at each trophic level. For example, producers, which are 1000, consumers 200, secondary consumers 30, and tertiary consumers 4. And when constructing a pyramid of numbers, the following should be observed. You must label those bars. Then the scale should be correct. The scale should be correct, and the plotting should be also correct. You should consider the number of squares for each. Then 10 squares for the producers only. Then another thing, the pyramid should be correct, and cutting vertically downwards into 2 equal halves. This is what we mean. At this center, at the middle, should be cutting, or what we call a symmetry, correct pyramid with the mirror image symmetry at the center, which cuts the pyramid into 2 equal halves, the center here. Then proportionality, equal width of bars. The bars should have equal width. For example, in this case, it has the width is made up of 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 squares. When you come here, realize there are also 10. That is what we mean by equal width of the bars. Then let's look at part B. Account for the shape of the pyramid. The shape of the pyramid is upright, or you can say the base is wide or broad, or producers are more or many to support the consumers. And the reason is the number of organisms decrease progressively or upwards at each trophic level due to loss of energy. As you can see, the number of organisms decreasing. That is from 1,000 to 200 to 30 to 4. And the reason is that it is due to loss of energy, and thus those organisms become fewer as you move up the trophic level. If the following organisms are found in the ecosystem represented by the data, draw a food chain to illustrate the feeding relationship in the ecosystem. And that is plants will be producers, and the plants are, because they are able to make their own food, that's why we call them producers, and they must start in a food chain. Then they are fed on by mouse, then snakes feed on mouse, and eagle feed on the snakes. Which of the organisms will have the least biomass? And the least biomass, that is the eagle. And maybe probably another time they can ask you a question, give a reason why eagle have the least biomass. And the reason is, as you move from one trophic level to another, that is from producers to consumers, to each trophic level, there is a loss of energy in form of heat through defecation, through sweating, through decomposition, and all others, and also respiration, and thus the number of organisms reduce, and also the dry weight, which is the biomass of the organisms, are able to reduce. And maybe someone can ask you which one has the highest biomass. That is the producers, simply because they are able to trap light energy and make their own food, thus able to sustain the whole ecosystem. Explain the effect of a severe drought on population of organisms in the ecosystem. And that is a plant dries or die, and that means lack of food or reduced food, leading to starvation for mice and subsequent organisms, which leads to death or eventually migration. How will predation by snakes lead to emergence of new species of mice in the ecosystem? Mice have variations, and those with disadvantageous traits, or those which are poorly adapted, are preyed upon, while those with advantageous variations or characteristics or better adapted survive. They reproduce and give rise to offspring with similar characteristics, and accumulation of these variations lead to formation of new species. Part D, describe the method one will use to estimate the population of a particular plant. And basically, you can use quadrat. When you use a quadrat, you measure the area of study, that is in meters squared. You throw a quadrat randomly and count all the plants of a particular species. Particular should be underlined, must be there within the quadrat. Then you record, you repeat severally or 3 or more times. Totals in each row are summed and averaged. Then multiply the average with the area of study in meters squared. Or you can use a belt transect. And a belt transect, you measure the area of study in meters squared. You create a belt by use of 2 parallel ropes 1 meter apart. You count all plants of a particular species within the belt. Then record, repeat severally, calculate the average, multiply the average with the total area of the study by belt area. On to question 7. Describe the various functions of lipids in human body. Number 1, source of metabolic water. And during extreme conditions, they are broken down. They are able to produce that metabolic water, which is useful in the body. Then they act as a source of energy. They are used in respiration, especially during starvation. Then there are structural components and they constitute structure of the cell membrane and also the adipose tissue. Then there are constituents of various hormones or steroids, for example, estrogen, testosterone, which regulate various physiological processes. Then they are a form of food storage around major organs, that is the heart, the kidney, and the adipose tissue, and they help absorb shock. And insulation purposes or thermoregulation, especially adipose tissues and under the skin, protecting the body against heat loss. The protection of vital organs like kidney, brain, eye, the heart, as a cushioning layer or a shock absorber. Then they play a role in nerve impulse transmission by constituting the myelin sheath, which insulates nerve fibers, thus allowing for efficient transmission of nerve impulses. Then part B, describe how the process of photosynthesis occurs in green plants. Photosynthesis occurs in green plants due to presence of chlorophyll, which absorb or trap light energy, and it occurs in the chloroplast and takes place in 2 stages, that is light stage and dark stage. And light stage, also called the light dependent stage because it depends on light to occurs in the granum, where photolysis or splitting of water molecule occurs. And water molecules split into oxygen atoms and hydrogen ions. And during this process, energy is formed in form of adenosine triphosphate. Then during the dark stage or light independent stage, because it can occur in the darkness or during light, because it is independent of light, it occurs in stroma. Carbon dioxide is combined with hydrogen atoms, and this is what we call carbon dioxide fixation, using energy produced in the light stage, leading to formation of glucose or the sugar molecules. Part 8, describe how section of the human digestive system from mouth to the stomach is adapted to its function. Presence of teeth, that is incisor, canine, premolar, and molar, that are different in structure or shapes for mechanical digestion, what we call mastication, to increase surface area for enzyme action. And maybe the teeth, when you name a specific teeth, you must give the correct adaptation. And when you name specific teeth, you must name all the teeth, the different types of teeth, in order for you to score. Then the same to salivary glands. if you commit yourself to the specific salivary gland, you must name other salivary glands. In this case, salivary glands: sublingual, submandibular parotid for secretion of saliva, containing digestive enzymes, that is ptyalin or amylase for chemical digestion of starch to maltose. Then saliva provides alkaline medium for enzymatic activity in the mouth. Then the tongue manipulates or mixes, rolls food into boluses and pushes boluses into back of mouth. Then muscular esophagus or the gullet contracts and relaxes throughout peristalsis, enabling movement of boluses down in the stomach. Then the cardiac sphincter allows entry of food into the stomach and also prevents backflow of food. And the stomach wall has gastric glands that produce gastric juice containing digestive enzymes, that is pepsin, renin, chymosin, or the peptic cells, chief peptic cells for protein digestion. Then stomach wall or gastric glands or pareto-synthetic cells produce hydrochloric acid, which provide acidic medium for enzyme action in stomach, conducive for activation of digestive enzymes, that is pepsinogen to pepsin, prorenin to renin. Then hydrochloric acid also kills pathogens in food. Then the stomach wall has goblet cells that produce mucus, which reduces friction of food against stomach wall and also lubricates food and prevents corrosion of stomach wall by hydrochloric acid, or protects the wall from digestion from proteolytic enzymes or proteases. The stomach wall has muscles that contract and relax, thus churning the food, or that is basically mixing of food. Then pyloric sphincter at the stomach exit regulates or controls the amount of food leaving the stomach. Then points to consider: both longitudinal and circular muscles must be mentioned to score for the function in case you commit yourself. Then if individual tooth is mentioned, adaptive feature and function must be correct for the tooth. I think I had said earlier on. Then hydrochloric acid kills bacteria, so accept germs, but to be correct, it is pathogens, kill pathogens. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys, you subscribe, you like and share this great presentation. Thank you.